Did I scare ya? Well, I hope I did, because we are back with more TTBurger game reviews all month long of month of October for TTBurger Burgerween Spookfest for Halloween. Getting closer to that 300th episode 298, part 1 of 5 parts of 5 parts! And today we're going to talk about a franchise that started off where you played a vampire named Kain and moved all over the place in the timeline here, which made it memorable and enjoyable. That is the Legacy of Kain franchise. Now, Legacy of Kain, it goes all over the place with different styles of gameplay for each game and everything, with more roar to it. You had like Legend of Zelda like style. You had hack and slash. You had platforming and more roar to it. And we're going to be talking about these 5 games here, all in the order when they were released here. So we're going to be jumping all over the place here for this review. Starting off with Legacy of Kain, there are 5 parts. Part 1, Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain. Part 2, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Part 3, we go to PlayStation Edition 2 era, Soul Reaver 2. And Part 4, Blood Omen 2, and then Part 5, Legacy of Kain, Defiance. We have a lot to talk about here with some roar to it. Let's get started here with talking about Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, first released on the PlayStation on November 1st, 1996, and then a year later, September 3rd, 1997, for Microsoft Windows. You're looking at the PlayStation version here. It's the easiest one to pick up. It's a little pricey, but who gives a roar? Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Shall we?
Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. I understand people enjoy this style of gameplay and everything. I, however, while I respect the game for what it is, I'm just not a fan of these type of games, mainly because it's easy to get lost and get stuck. That's why I never got into the Legend of Zelda franchise. Sure, if people like it, that is fine. That's your opinion, but I was not the biggest fan here. With Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, I do enjoy it more than the Zelda franchise, but this game though has the problems that I had with the Zelda games, and while I give it the benefit of the doubt and I'm going to be generous here, it's not one of my favorite games here. Now this is my honest opinion, so if I upset anyone, I apologize here. There are goods here to Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. I will not bash it here because I'm a fan of, like the horror setting with the vampires and everything like Castlevania Symphony and the other nights and stuff. And I'm not a fan of these type of games here, but it still deserves a chance here. So let's get started. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain puts you in the role of Kain, a nobleman who is ambushed and killed by a group of assassins. Mortanius, the necromancer, offers Kain a chance for revenge, and he awakes as a vampire. Kain learns that they were not the cause of his death, they were only the instruments of his death. Kain then travels to the Pillars of Nosgoth where he meets up with Ariel, who tells him he must destroy the Circle of Nine before he can be at peace. That is the basis of the story. I cannot say any more because I don't want to spoil it here. But I can say that the story is pretty deep, with a lot of voice setting and cutscenes. It also has a Castlevania feel to it with the creepy scenery with the monsters and the vampire-like character, and the villages with the humans and the monsters definitely add there. It basically is Legend of Zelda meets Castlevania. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain looks pretty good in the graphics department. The game is in 2D for the most part, aside from the cutscenes, and it looks great. I mean, there's not much you can say about a game in 2D, but the graphics get the job well done. I mean, this game was released in 1996 for the PlayStation, a year later for the PC. 2D game was still big with the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis being out. Sure, we had the Sega Saturn, but the Genesis was still huge. We also have real-time weather effects with the rain and daylight that will affect Kain's health. This adds realism to the game, and this weather change effect was fairly new in games. And when you hit water, hit sunlight, you have to find cover because you will lose health. Sure, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest had the day to night transitions, but that was just the time of day. In this game though, we have the weather changing and more. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain sounds great too for the most part. The voice setting is some of the best for a game released in the 90s, let alone a PlayStation game. There is a lot of voice acting. So much voice acting, I'm surprised they were able to fit all this onto a PlayStation disc. Simon Templeman shines as the best actor of the bunch as he voices Kain. Throughout the game you'll hear Kain talk about what is going on throughout his journey. He will talk a lot, making his quest for vengeance more enjoyable. Sometimes though he repeats his lines a little too often when he gets stuck somewhere, but he has a lot of lines of dialogue that make his quest more interesting. The other actors are really good too, like Anna Gunn voices Ariel, Tony J voices Mortanius the Necromancer, and more. The music is good. I love the music. It has a creepy vibe to it, some of the Castlevania and also sometimes Legend of Zelda. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, yes, I will admit, I'm not a fan of these type of games mainly due to the fact you get lost easily. However, I will give this game a benefit of the doubt here because there was some enjoyment here, and it's more enjoyment than the Zelda games. In Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, you guide Kain throughout the land of Nosgoth to get revenge on the assassins who murdered him. Kain has his sword and armor. You will use these a lot. You will upgrade your swords and armor and more when you find them. Since Kain is a vampire, he has vampire-like powers such as drinking the blood of his enemies to regain health, along with finding powers you can turn into a wolf to jump, a bat to fly fast travel, and more. These powers are fun to use and add to Kain's quest. You will also find other powers as well, like the ability to walk on water without getting hurt or not being burned by the sunlight. You will also mostly be going through dungeons and caves to get farther in your quest. Being in the towns where you will be able to get stronger. What I mean is the towns and the outdoor areas have enemies spawning where you respawn back and forth. You can drink the blood from them and regain your health. You can also do that with like the prisoners in the dungeons and more. You have items that can give you extra life here, but they are rare, so be careful. The controls are simple. If you play these type of games, you'll be familiar with the control scheme here. However, at the times when using your special powers, there is a delay when jumping as a wolf and more. Also, when going in and out to a new screen, when there's a line of dialogue going on, it pauses to finish the line of dialogue before it transitions to the next scene. Which is a little annoying, but not bad here. I also forgot to mention there are multiple endings here, with the bad ending being canon. So, if you're gonna go for endings, get the bad one, because it carries over to its sequel, Soul Reaver. You have a map as well that can be helpful if you're stuck, where you'll come to dead ends where you'll be scratching your head wondering, where do I go? Which is the main issue I have here. Getting lost, not knowing where to go, was the issue. Sure, getting lost gives you opportunity to explore at your own pace, but not finding where to go for like an hour or so, this is where it gets out of hand. It also does not help that a lot of the areas look similar to one another. When it came to Zelda, I just called it quits because it was just... I just couldn't handle the fact getting lost and going around in circles. And that's why I was not into the Zelda series. You will not see a review on a Zelda game ever. With Blood Omen Legacy of Kain here, I can give it a benefit of the doubt because they tried their best here for the first game of the franchise, and it does its best here. There was some fun here with the powers you had, and I'll be generous with the score here. I know I could not get in these type of games, but since I like the concept and the characters and more, I will be generous with the score I give it. But now before we can give this game a score, let's go to our TTBurger pros and cons chart. For the TTBurger pros, we're introduced to the Legacy of Kain series right here with this game. The game feels like a crossover between Castlevania and Legend of Zelda at the same time. Good graphics for a PlayStation game that was released in 1996. Kain is a very cool and badass protagonist. Exploring the land of Nosgoth can be fun. Using Kain's vampire abilities can be a fun time. This is one of the first games on the PlayStation where you play as a vampire. The story is very deep and memorable. The voice setting is top notch at its finest. This is one of the very first games on the PlayStation that has the weather changing effects. For the TTBurger cons, like Zelda, it's easy to get lost in this game. Lots of dead ends that you'll come across. Lots of areas look too similar to one another. There was a delay in the controls when using your powers. Kain can repeat the same lines a little too often. And I should mention that the PC version is hard to run on modern computers. But that's all I gotta say about Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. I may not be a big fan of these type of games, but I did have some enjoyment here, and I definitely recommend it to people who like these type of games here, so I'm gonna give it a decent score is what I'm trying to say there.
I'll still be giving Blood Omen Legacy of Kain a decent score here. I can give it the benefit of the doubt because, you know, it tried its best here. I mean, I have much more patience with this game than the Zelda franchise, so I'll be giving this game a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10! And that's what I gotta say there. And that's it for episode 298, part 1 of 5 parts. Stay tuned for part 2. We're going to dive into another timeline of Legacy of Kain. We're going to look at Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, a hack and slash game this time. How does this fare? Find out the next part. That's all I got to say. This is Tony. Peace out. Have a great day. And have a great day, y'all. Rawr!